So, summary of functionality. Is i.e. what dashboards are, and when we'll go through a dashboard overview, so let's be looking at the various screens. Then we'll cover the benefits, how we perceive it will benefit you, both as clients of, or users of Proactis, but also looking at your wider user base as well, and how we can reach out to them. We'll also look at deployment options. I appreciate most of you are probably existing users of dashboards. In fact, I don't think we've got anyone in this room who's not already a user, but correct me if I'm wrong. No, as I suspected. But in order to sort of bring your existing users in as well, we're going to look at enhancement options around dashboards as well. I will cover off the prerequisites of dashboards. Again, if you're already users, that's not going to be especially relevant to you, but we'll cover that anyway. And then at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for questions. Okay. Nope, wrong way again. Right, okay. So, summary functionality. So Proactis P2P already includes a dashboarding tool, unless you've got a really old version, which I know none of you have got. So as long as you've sort of installed Proactis in about the last 6 years, or at least upgraded since then, you will already have dashboarding tool there as standard, and there's no license implication, there's no extra cost to actually having that tool available within your system. So what do? Well, they allow us to sort of publish virtually any form of summary or detailed information. So we can go for the high level, or we can go for the detail, or, as in most cases, somewhere in between, basically. Personalised dashboards deliver instant information to users. So what we want to do here is we want to deliver the right information to the users based on their role. Okay, so there's no point just putting a great big dashboard suite there and rolling it out to everyone. So when a user, for example, is an end user raising purchase orders, we want to make sure they're seeing relevant information to them. And that will include providing them with the correct level of information appropriate to their role. So if they're authorised or budget holders, you would expect them to see a different type of data to an end user whose perhaps just day-to-day role is creating purchase orders, receiving purchase orders, and managing the processes around that. Similarly with expense users, etc. Data-driven graphical presentation to provide reports in appropriate format. So different types of data, what we're pulling through, lends itself to different display types. So we'll have, as you can see there, pie charts or line charts or bar charts. We've got very sort of attractive radial gauges, which we can set up for you. Or it could be simply a table chart, a table of information. So it depends on the type of data we're pulling through. We'll present that and try and present that in an appropriate way to you. Now, one of the key things is drill down capability, and this provides easy investigation of the detail behind the KPI, and I'll cover that off in a little bit more detail. But there's no point just having this header level information if you can't get to the detail behind it. And data can be sourced directly from Proactis, and that's where most of the data comes from, as you can imagine, but we can pull it in from other databases. So if you've already got, for example, the ETL reporting tool, that's already pulling in data from Proactis, but it may be combining that in with data from other systems, your finance system, or we could just go out directly to your finance system. As long as we can read the data, we can pull that through. And as mentioned in our earlier presentation, we can pull information from the ICAP database, if necessary, the integration databases, or potentially, if you've got the source contract, if that data is accessible to us, we could tap into the SRM or CRM information as well. Okay, so what do dashboards provide? First and foremost, as I mentioned, very high level representation of data. So just very simple display. There's no great level of detail in there. It's just there. The information is key. This is just showing you spend by account. Very obvious that that's, you know, what is the highest area of spend. Just very basic, no frills information. Wrong button. Right. So another example, again, all invoices in progress. So this one is just showing the status of all invoices currently going through the system that have still got some action required, something outstanding. So they've not been paid yet. And you know, if you're just using the system, going through the standard functionality within the system, that kind of information isn't readily on hand. You know, you'd have to go through search screens, filters, etc. So it's just something new. If you haven't got this before, this is the status of all our invoices. And again, with the drill down functionality that I'll show you in a minute, you can then see what's going on behind that. But one of the things with these dashboards as well, it helps to identify any anomalies or any spikes in data. So if you suddenly got, for example, the invoices awaiting authorization, you suddenly see a huge spike in that. It's very apparent when you come onto this screen, you'll see that. And that may immediately indicate to you that there's an issue, bottleneck in the workflow, perhaps an authoriser's not attentive, needs training, or has left the organisation, or basically just needs a very gentle reminder. Similarly, if you see something like release for payment, those of you know how the integration works, that potentially implies that maybe a service has stopped running or there's an issue with your integration because suddenly you've got this huge spike in that particular line of data. Okay. And then we've got recent orders within my cost centre. Again, if you're a budget holder, you know, with normal Proactis functionality, you don't bring together everything that's going on in one place without the dashboard. So that brings that all together. I'm a budget holder, I can see exactly what's going on. And you see how it's sort of neatly stacked there in the different statuses of orders as you go up through the colour schemes. And again, with the drill down functionality, it just gives the authoriser or the budget holder very quick visibility at a headline level, but also with the ability to go a little bit further and look into that a little bit deeper. Bringing target data to the users. So this example here is like a personalised commitment summary. So this is targeted at the end user. I'm creating orders on a day-to-day basis. So previously, in my experience working with TSM, we often get calls from clients asking them to help with reports, commitments or accrual-based reports that they're compiling centrally, they're sending out to the business because they've realised their commitments or accrual stacks have got out of control, they're not accurate, people aren't managing orders themselves. So something like this would help empower the end user by giving them that data directly. So when they log in, they can see their own soft, hard commitments, if you use that type of terminology, and then we group it by age. So as you go to the right-hand side, you're starting to get to that age commitments area. So by empowering the users, and perhaps with a little bit of training, they can then manage and housekeep their own purchase orders, their own management of the system. Does that make sense? Okay, so similarly, if I'm an AP user, just looking at my invoices in progress, a bit like a graphic I put on the previous screen, but this is very much personalised to that individual user. These are my invoices that are in the system that haven't yet completed their process. And again, there's an opportunity to look for anomalies within that, spikes, identify any issues, bottlenecks, etc. And one targeted an authoriser, my order's authorised, so it says there last 6 months, but the thing with commitments is, things with dashboards, the thing with dashboards is we can tailor them to be this month, year to date, last 12 months, etc. So it's just to give that authoriser an idea of what they've been sanctioning. Again, through normal functionality, you'd have to do lots of searches and click through lots of screens to actually identify your history. This is bringing it all together in one display, in one dashboard. Okay. So those are individual modules, but we also then have dashboard pages, and dashboard page is a collection of modules put together, and these are normally grouped by a common theme. So, for example, this one here, I can barely see the screen with my glasses, I'll have to look on this one. The common theme here is from the perspective of a budget holder. So we're looking at top level spend analysis by different analysis codes. In this case, we've got a cost center, we're using a project, and we're also doing spend by accounts as well. Okay, so it's just logical grouping together, and then you've got a commitment report down the bottom right hand side. So similar examples would be an AP manager. So this is slightly different. This is tailored at a specific user's role rather than what we saw on the previous screen. So AP manager will get an overarching view of what's going on. So it's going to be looking at all invoices, not a personal look at invoices, but all invoices going through the system. That'll be your top right dashboard there. We've got these radial gauges, these ones here, which I quite like, which are they're just eye-catching, I think. So they just give you that counter, if you like, and very sort of suitable when you consider we're talking about dashboards. And then other types of report and KPIs. So we've got things like invoice exception rate, and this is really designed to sort of track, or hopefully track, continuous improvement. This is the number of invoices that go through the system without any further intervention. So the moment they're put on the system, everything has been done correctly and they go straight through to payment. So if you've got a healthy Proactis system that's being well used, you'd want to see invoices pass through very quickly without intervention, because people have done their receipting, they've raised their purchase orders correctly, etc. And then we've kind of just touched on this about 10 minutes ago, although not by me. This is a module-specific dashboard. So if you've got ICAT and you're interested in the dashboard, this is what it looks like. Same screenshot as Christina showed earlier. Again, you've got this kind of KPI at the top here, which is, again, hopefully going to show a pattern of continuous improvement. And this is the rate at which invoices coming through ICAT are successfully integrated first time. Okay. So over time, you would expect to see that improve. Other types of KPI, onboarded suppliers. So this is just clearly showing the ratio of onboarded suppliers versus your entire supplier base. And again, you want that tube to fill up. And the one you don't want to fill up so fast is the one on the right there, which is your ICAT credit report. It's showing you how many credits you've got, how many credits you've used. But again, it's just giving you a very visual, sign of where you are, basically. And at the bottom here, it's just very simple. It's still a dashboard. It's just a very simple list dashboard, and it's just showing you invoices that, for whatever reason, have failed to integrate into Proactis. And it gives you the reason down there. You probably can't read that because the screenshot's too small, but it just tells you what the invoice is, who it's from, and the reason directly from the ICAT data feed database of why it's failed. Okay. So that's talk about pages, but then you've got dashboard portfolios, and portfolios, bear with me one sec. Portfolios are groups of pages that we put together, portfolios to match basically different user roles. So the example we've got here is accounts payable. So you don't just have one screen when you work in accounts payable. You're going to be interested in other things like discrepancies, documents pending approval. If you can read across the top there, you've got ICAT at the end as well. So a portfolio is a group of pages provided to a user dependent on their role. So obviously you're going to have different types of roles that are going to fit to different types of portfolios. Finance business partner, for example, where you're seeing top-level spend analysis reports, but they're probably also authorisers. They might be interested in retrospective purchase orders, and they'll also have, like, for example, their budget holders tab as well. Order originator. This is really just for the help that originator manage their orders. So we've got very simple one down here, my orders in progress. So this is just detailing every order that they put in the system that's still got something outstanding, whether it's awaiting delivery, still at the authorization process, or at least it's still awaiting invoicing. Then I mentioned about the personalized commitment report there. So the users can manage and monitor and see, have visibility, full visibility on their own commitments and how that's impacting the budgets. And top right there, my order compliancy. What this is reflecting, and it's a big thing that a lot of customers ask us about, is managing and monitoring retrospective purchase ordering. So this is where orders are created after the invoice has basically been received. So if organisations obviously are a bit funny about that and don't think that's the right way to do things, and we agree with that. So we've developed various compliance reports to measure, monitor that order compliance in terms of retrospective purchase orders. And I will just say this is a personalised one, but we also have this at organisation level as well, where we monitor it by user, by supplier, by division. So we can cut that information from, or we can look at that information from various different angles. Okay, unfortunately I haven't got time to show you them all. Other examples of portfolios we might have: a procurement portfolio. If you've used expenses, then we've got the expense claimants portfolio. We've got one client here who does sales invoicing, so we've created dashboards around sales invoicing as well. Authorised budget holders and administrators. So administrators might be looking at things like your license count or errors within the system, export management errors, things like that. Okay, just going to touch on some additional functionality now. So I'm just going to start with this screen. This is just a single dashboard module. In the top right, I daren't try and use this pointer because I'll probably turn it all off or something, but in the top right there's a little information icon that's going to get pointed to in a minute anyway. And when you click on that, it opens up another box, and that just tells you what's within the dashboard. And this is editable. Obviously we'll put that in for you, but you can go in and change that, reword it, and it's just to give the user a little bit of information about what the dashboard is trying to tell them. Then you've got the tooltips. So when you hover on these bars over here, it will open up a tooltip, and that's just to give you extended information about what that particular bar of the graphic is trying to tell you. So typically it will include something like the cost center description in this case, which is a cost center report. The cost center description is far too wordy to put as one of the sort of labels on the axis or anything like that. So we'll include that in the hover tip. And then also the precise total of that bar of data as well, so information like that. Then crucially underneath that, you see an option there that says click to drill down as well at the bottom. This is the drill down functionality. Okay, so I'm interested in what's behind that particular bar of data, that bar on this dashboard. You can click into it and it will open up a drill down report. So the example I've got here is I've clicked into spend by cost center, and when I click into the drill down, it's now showing me spend by cost center broken down by account code in this example. Okay, so still showing soft and hard commitments, this time broken down by account code. Now this itself will then have another drill down, and this will take you into a table drill down. Okay, and this one is just simply showing a list of the purchase orders that make up the graphic in the parent report. Now,
sorry, is there any chance of being able to, I know obviously it's more from the reporting, but if there's any enhancement to be able to pull that information from the dashboard, so so it's in a report rather than having to build a report to match the dashboards.
How do you mean? Sorry, as in
so you've got that data, so
yeah,
they can pull that information out.
Export it.
Yeah, export it.
Right, it's funny you should ask that.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah, that's. I put that as an enhancement request to Proactis to be able to extract that data into Excel. There is, well, yeah. I haven't got a, haven't got a timeline for that, unfortunately, at the moment. But yeah, that's something that a lot of people have asked previously as well. So when you get to this level, where you've got a table of data, it seems logical that, yeah, let's just take that straight to Excel. So that is something we've already put in process with Proactis. So we're now on the second level of drill down here, and you see these little orange icons, and what they do is the next level of drill down, that will take you into the document itself. Okay, so in this case we're going into a purchase order. If it was an expenses or an invoice or a requisition, it would do the same functionality, take you down to that base document, and then from there you can see you've got the normal navigation options from the documents. If you want to go and look at the invoice summary, etc., you can do that from there. Okay. Now, we can also put these dashboards now, we can put them on menu pages as well. So, those who've got dashboards, you're probably familiar, under the analysis tab, or sometimes you can land on it when you first log in. It opens up your whole dashboard suite. But we can take individual modules and we can put them on the menu pages. So in this example, you've clicked on invoice because you're going to register an invoice, but before you do, it takes you straight past one of these dashboards, just to give you that extra visibility. And this will have the same functionality as a dashboard seen within the standard pages as well. Just another example, this is a purchase order page where we put a dashboard on as well. Okay. So some of you who've got existing dashboard suites, you may not have this functionality enabled yet, but if it is something you're interested in, obviously get in touch and we'll see what we can do for you. And another example with an expense claim. Okay, so what are the benefits? Who benefits? Just to summarise, so we think end users will benefit this from having something like personal commitment reports, having their own compliance KPIs, to be able to measure and hopefully improve their own performance within the system, and just the ability, or it's an easy ability to track open orders and expenses. Similarly with AP, to be able to track all their invoices, view them by status. Also, where I've gone out and deployed this dashboard to users, AP have often been very, very engaging, have come to me with lots of different ideas for reports as well. So we're open to any suggestions. Management accountants, they get the expenditure by analysis codes, but hopefully they'll benefit by this also empowering the end users to housekeep their system better as well. Authorisers and budget holders, again, expenditure tracking, activity within their departments, because we can put security on a lot of the reports as well, so they can see centralised reports, but it can be filtered to their own areas of the business, be it, if it's cost centres they manage, things like that. So we can have that. Often you can take a report that's visible globally, but then apply a filter to it and make it more suitable for budget holders. Procurement, supplier analysis, contract compliance, high value spend visibility. We could just set a threshold for purchase orders based on value or category, so they would always be alerted to procurement so they know about these orders going through. If they're not in the regular authorisation workflow, often things happen. If procurement needs to get involved because of that threshold, it can bypass them. So it's just another way we can bring procurement into it as well. Just slightly off topic, but from what we were talking earlier, I think we did some, I think it was for Heritage at the back of the room. We did some carbon footprint based reports on their dashboard as well, based on travel times, things like that. And yeah, administrators, license visibility, just ability to see users who haven't logged onto the system for a long time because they've left or have changed role, export management issues, so they don't have to go into the PMC, the Proactis Management Console, to see that a document has failed in link for any reason. They can have it on screen on Proactis and click in straight into the invoice or order or whatever the nature of the error is. I'm just concerned about time. We all right, Simon? You're fine? Yep. So, I thought I was going to get out of there. Implementation options. So, I'm going to gloss through this a little bit because everyone here, every client here has already got dashboards, haven't they? But standard pack is what you would have had, plus a bit of add-ons as well. We are introducing something called a dashboard sampler pack. But again, this is for, risk of sounding like an advert, but this will be for new customers only effectively. So those who haven't got dashboards at all, it's something we're rolling out as an optional extra with their patch cycle as well. So for existing users, and I'll come to this in more detail in a moment, dashboard upgrade. It's a kind of informal upgrade, but if you implemented dashboards 2-3 years ago, the chances are our standard dashboard pack still has the same reports, but there's been a lot of modification on those reports since then. So we can have a look at what you've got, how much it's changed, and if you think it's a benefit, then we can go and apply the improvements in that. I will cover that in a little bit more detail in just a moment. Tied in with that as well is new modules. So you can, if you're an existing dashboard user, obviously you can come to us if you've got an idea for something new, or you want to consult with us on the possibility of creating new modules, tapping into new sources of data. Again, that's something that we can obviously do for you as well. So I'm going to very quickly skip through the implementation because you've all got it. But it was over 50 individual modules, over 15 pages with 10 pre-built dashboard portfolios. We allowed for any reasonable modifications, and I think in some cases you suggested, oh, can we just have this report? And we had a little bit of time in the project, so we put in a few additional reports in for you. Okay. So I'm going to talk about dashboard upgrade. So improvements to existing reports. So in some cases there may be drill down functionality that wasn't available at the time that your dashboard was put in. We've since developed that. So that's just sort of one example. Added parameters to give greater user control. So when they were first put in, I guess all the logic behind the dashboards was built into the back end with minimal parameters that you could adjust at the front end. Okay, so as they become more developed, we've taken those parameters, put them towards the front end of the system. So just as an example, if you've got, you say had a report expenditure by cost centre, rather than, and you wanted, something based on that but different, so rather than us going and writing a whole new dashboard in the background, or stored procedure in the background, creating a new one, we could just got enough parameters in there that you could say, okay, instead of focusing cost centre, I wanted to focus on project code. You said it as all companies, I want to change it to this company only. It's reporting on infinite data, I want to set it to this financial year only. I only want to see the top 10 lines of data, and I want to make it user secure as well. So all those type of things we bring into the front so that you can manage that yourself. So you could take one report and turn it into a completely different report without us necessarily having to go into connect up and go into the back end and start changing coding and bits and pieces like that. And I just alluded to added security of sensitive information. So older sets might have just said spend by account code. Now it's spend by account code. Do you want security on it? And it's just simply a tick yes or no, basically. And that will identify who's looking at the report and only return data based on that user. And additional training for configuration as well. So this will cover obviously things like the parameters, how to make those parameters work for you. But also other things like making sure you're aware of how to change the tooltips and the wording, labels, colour schemes, etc. Okay. And obviously within that upgrade, we've got new opportunity for new modules, new modules, pages, portfolios. As I say, if you're an existing dashboard user, you've now had them for, looking around this room, a few weeks, a few months and a few years. Hopefully they're embedded within your organisation. You know what's useful, you know what's just sitting in the background looking pretty but isn't really that useful, but hopefully you also now know, or you've got ideas for other things that could be of use to you as well. Okay. Ooh. The sample pack, again, it's for new clients only, optional inclusion with the patching cycle. It will include accounts payable dashboard set and an order originator dashboard set. If you don't use purchase orders, we're flexible. We'll swap that out with expenses or something like that. Okay. Next steps. So if you're interested in the upgrade or having your dashboards revisited or new modules, please consult with your accounts manager for further options, quotations, etc. Look out for our online webinars. We do run dashboard webinars every so often. They normally run on live data, so it may well be me doing it, but no hiding behind dashboards. It's actually live screens. So, sorry, no hiding behind screenshots, I meant to say. Or request a demo. Okay, have we got any questions? Yes.
Hi, yes. You mentioned earlier that you could pull data from finance systems.
Yeah.
Are you able to combine some of that information and share it on a single dashboard? I'm thinking about project holders, for example. You might want to see their run rates,
Yeah.
spend, and how it might.
Yeah, as long as we can access this data. I mean, I might not be able to write the query that's going to pull the data through from, which is it Sun use? Yeah, I might just bring someone in to write that particular query, but we can bring that into Proactis as long as they can access that data, and then you want to merge that with Proactis data. Yeah.
Is it my commitments against my budget?
Yeah, sounds complicated, but yeah, we like a challenge. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Great. I've left you about 3 minutes, Simon.